Welcome to Next Gen Tech Talk. Now, we always talk about AI in all the episode. One thing is important that AI without backend is always a demo,
Yeah, that's
not a product. And today we have Dave, whose focus is more on the both the side, like he cares about backend as well as the AI. So Dave, a lot of student thinks that AI is equal to just Python models you choose in backend plus AI both. So can you explain like what is the reason behind that, like so that viewers can understand what is the importance of this?
uh, yeah, that's actually a very good question. A lot of people do actually think that way, that whenever we are, dealing with AI and whenever we are dealing with all AI related models and everything,
Mhm.
it's just mostly Python and just Python models and everything. But I think that's not actually right. We should look at AI more as something that needs to be handled with other tools also, like just like for your example, which you asked about me why I chose backend. Initially, I was a backend developer who was working with Spring Boot and Java, and
Mhm.
backend development is not about a particular certain framework. It's more about how you design the architectures behind the systems that actually work, how you design databases, how you manage load balancing, caching. It's a subset of system design and everything, is what I believe. Then I got interested into AI, Python, and everything, and I realized that the backend engineering knowledge that I have, I should use it
Mhm.
to build backend systems, integrating them with the AI. So that's
Mhm.
how I thought that it will be a. That's how I thought we can build a proper robust system.
Yeah, you are right. Like, see, we need to focus on everything like thinking plus development and then deployment,
Exactly.
right? So,
Exactly.
if you want to have a real solution, so it's not that you just utilize one of the AI model and things will be done. Right thinking to get to the result is very important,
Yes,
right?
that's
Yeah. Okay. So, at what point did things that start clicking for you? Like when you have started practicing AI into your work, or you got the
uh,
first project?
in AI.
Yes. Yeah. AI space.
Well, actually, things started clicking from me when I moved from learning concepts to actually building and debugging the systems. Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, there are moments when you struggle through integrating a model with backend system, handling other messy errors,
Mm-hmm.
some fixed edge cases and all that. So
Right.
I thought that I should make AI features that actually should work end to end for a user. So that was the moment when
Mm-hmm.
things started clicking to me, when I started solving actual issues that mattered in the long term. Repeating, I started connecting concepts, and I saw that how I can, effectively build AI system along with backend. One of the example being my good project that I built 2 months prior to this podcast. That was an AI Ops
Mm-hmm.
Copilot that I had already discussed with you. It has a very heavy
Okay.
backend system integrated
Right.
with AI and RAG pipelines. That's how things started
Mm.
to click when I started building AI
Right.
Ops Copilot. That was the turning point
Yeah.
actually in start of this year.
Mm. So you have rightly mentioned like we all have started suddenly like a lot of around the RAG. So according to you, how this became an importance?
The RAG,
Yes.
uh, actually, RAG is basically nothing. It's just retrieval augmented generation. It's more like RAG became important because people quickly started realizing that the raw LLMs, the large language models
Mm-hmm.
that we are using, even the powerful
Mm-hmm.
ones like OpenAI models or Google Gemini, are not actually reliable on their own for the real world
Right.
use. Because if
Yeah.
you use them directly, they are not very reliable because they do hallucinate. They do produce a
Mm.
lot of errors, is what I believe. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't know where your private data and everything is going, and you cannot stay actually updated. So RAG fixes
Correct.
this by plugging a retrieval layer. Retrieval layer is
Mm.
something like this vector databases, APIs and
Mm.
everything into the generation process. So the model
Mm-hmm.
answers using actual relevant and current data instead of just memory.
Hmm.
So it's not completely relying on the memory. So it uses actual relevant data that actually creates a lot of context for it. So this shift turned AI from a just cool demo into something like companies can actually trust, like answering from internal docs. There are
Hmm.
company documentations that actually need to be studied and properly answered, is what I believe. So retrieval
Absolutely.
from internal documents, logs, PDFs, databases. Like in my project there was AI ops copilot, so it had RAG. So in short, like
Mm-hmm.
RAG became important the moment we actually stopped asking like can AI generate
Hmm.
text, and we actually started asking can AI give correct context aware answers in production, is when I think RAG became important, and I also got very much interested in it because it's actually a backbone of how robustly you can create AI related systems, is what I think.
Yeah, you nail it, Dev. I think this is very important, and I think every practitioner need to understand this very
Yeah.
clearly. Otherwise,
Yes.
without creating the pipeline, you won't be able to get the result,
Exactly.
right? So, Dev, you are already practicing this building the AI system, right? These days. Now, if I may ask you to explain the viewers or maybe the students who are still in the university that how AI system architecture works. Maybe in general terms, you may talk about.
Okay. AI system architectures.
Yes.
Well, if we have to talk
Maybe you
in
can
a
talk about like the back end, how
Mhm,
you
mhm,
create the data pipeline, and then also as a developer, you need to talk about the latency, right? and
mhm.
and the stability also at the same time. So that
That's
way.
right. Well, if I have to put it in a very simple language, I'd like to tell my
Hmm.
viewers and the people who are getting into AI, think
Hmm.
of an AI system like just a smart assistant that is sitting
Hmm.
behind an application. It can be any application. It can be your ticket booking system. It can be your simple podcast system that actually helps you generate transcripts. It can be anything. It's like
Hmm.
a smart assistant that is sitting behind an app.
Correct.
And when a user interacts, like asking a question, that request
Hmm.
first goes to the backend server, which acts as
Hmm.
the brain coordinator. The backend
Hmm.
understands what the user wants, may fetch relevant data from databases, whatever database you're using, or the documents.
Hmm.
So this is where like concepts like RAG and actually come in, the fetching of the relevant
Right.
data from database and the documents, and then it sends a
Hmm.
well-structured prompt to an AI model. So it can be
Hmm.
an AI model like those from OpenAI or Google. You can use Gemini APIs that are actually free to use. I will advise students to actually practice on the Olama models that you can self-host on your local device. You can use Gemini
Exactly.
API and everything.
Hmm.
So the model generates a response, but the job is not completely done yet. The backend can validate, format, or even combine it with other data before
Hmm.
sending the final answer back to the user. So overall, it's a
Right.
pipeline. So how the pipeline looks:
Hmm.
user, backend, data
Hmm.
retrieval, the AI
Right.
model, and then backend
Correct.
processing, and then goes to user. This is how the flow works for the students, I'm
Hmm.
saying. So,
Yeah.
and the real magic is not just the model, I believe, but how all these components
Absolutely.
work together to deliver a reliable and real-time experience is what where the magic happens, is what I believe. This actually makes me,
Correct.
more interested in how the entire architecture. So I have just simplified how things work.
Hmm.
Is how I think it
Yeah.
should.
You have explained very perfectly. I think in simple terms, specifically if we focus on the student or maybe if practitioner or a professional who has just started in this space, they will understand the nitty-gritty of the development, right? Okay. So does open source actually help in getting the real opportunity, Dev? What do
Well,
you think?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually a very good question. I was actually waiting for this because a lot of people have doubt, and I was also a part of an open source contribution society in my college, and I
Mm.
was in the core members. Right now, I'm not because we are converting into seniors and we are giving the responsibilities to the upcoming batch. So actually, I'm wearing
Mhm.
the t-shirt of open source also right now. This is the open source logo. I would say
Yeah.
that. uh, for me, my journey started from open source itself. I was very much interested in open source software since childhood only. Like I was using Mozilla Firefox, I was using Linux, I was using all those open source softwares, and I was very
Mm-hmm.
happy with the idea of open source, that how it actually liberates people. It actually helps the people to fetch the benefits of good software without paying paying for it unnecessarily, without any
Right.
corporate stuff and all that. So it was very liberating. It was a very safe environment. But when I grew up, when I got into college, I started reading about open source contributions from a developer point of view, not from an user point of
Mm-hmm.
view. So I
Mm-hmm.
saw that there are softwares that actually have their code bases open on GitHub and everywhere, where you can just go and maybe open an issue. That is also a contribution. You can
Mm-hmm.
go and do a pull request on their repository, and then you can just contribute. That is also a contribution. And if your code is accepted, it will be merged into the code base. So I believe
Right.
two good things happen when you are contributing in open source. One thing is you actually learn how to work in teams, because
Mm-hmm.
when you grow up or when you get into corporate, you are going to work in teams where there is a common repository, common working environment where you have to contribute in a team. First thing is
Mm-hmm.
that you learn how to handle GitHub is a very important backbone of open source
Correct.
contribution. And the
Correct.
second thing is you actually get opportunities from there. There are a lot of opportunities. There is Google Summer of Code. There are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
other organizations that will offer you bounties in terms of in exchange of solving their problems and errors. Like in my case, there was an organization called DB2REST, where I have contributed in Spring Boot, and I've contributed in ArcSlang, Python, and I've contributed in app
Great.
development in my first year when I was
Mm-hmm.
into it. So that actually helped me get connected to the people who are into the domain, who recognized my work and offered me some amount of bounty, or maybe offered me something or something. So if you are doing contributions in a right direction, you can actually get internships and even job offers. There are a lot of friends of mine who actually got their career settled just by contributing in open source. It's just about the right
Yeah.
mindset and right organization to choose with whom you have to stay for long, is what I believe.
Exactly. Exactly. And just to add into this, there even the industry leaders, or maybe you can say the consumers, even to whom you are building the software, they are slowly getting open for the open source. Isn't it? Like if you see the Microsoft .NET framework,
Mhm.
it's coming with the open source
Yeah,
model
it
as
is.
well. So yeah, so even a lot of compliances issues, security, and all those. Slowly, industry is getting into the open source model because of what you have explained, right?
That's right.
So yeah, I'm very happy, Dev, that you understand all this out of your ongoing work, because these are the core. If you understand, then you can deliver well, right?
Yeah,
Otherwise, without getting into the details, it's very difficult to suggest also,
yeah,
correct? And
that's
choose
right.
the tech stack. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
that's right.
Yeah. Now, one question I engage guest, that if someone want to enter to the AIML today, what should they focus on first?
Uh, like AIML both.
Yes, yes, because these are the buzzwords today.
Mm,
Even if you see most of the students, they want to go for the computer sciences, and
mhm.
first thing they choose like, okay, we want the expertise into the AIML space.
Well, whatever little experience I have, I would like to
Hmm.
explain through this. I think
Hmm.
someone who is actually entering into AIML, because a lot of students I have seen when they get into the first year of their engineering, they start looking
Hmm.
around AI, ML. What's the buzz? What's the buzz? Let's see what's happening around. We should
Right.
actually explore all domains. There is DevOps, there is
Hmm.
everything, and then. But for your
Exactly.
question, sir, I would like to answer that if someone has decided that they have to go for AIML itself, then they should not start with fancy models. Like, a lot of Python models are there. They should
Hmm.
not start with that. They should get their fundamental cleared and then build upon it. I'll say they should. That's where like most people go wrong. They start going around fancy models. Even I was a rookie in that. I started searching around, going around, then tripping and failing, and then I figured out a proper path. It was something like the real starting point is like building a strong base in programming. Python should be very
Mm,
strong, because if you are not good in Python, it's very similar to solving integers without knowing algebra very properly. It's very similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
So you should know
Right.
how Python works, how Python libraries work, how the code actually executes. For me, I was a Java centric developer, but when I
Mm-hmm.
switched to AI/ML, I first went to Python. I studied the book. I completed the Python course. I properly studied. I practiced it for like at least 2 months, 3 months, and then I jumped to AI. So first get your Python uh, very well, Python in line. Basic math, linear
Mm-hmm.
algebra, and probabilities, you should have a little bit of idea about it and how data
Right.
works. Okay, because AI is
Yeah.
ultimately about transforming data, not just running models. So once that thing
Correct.
is clear, they should quickly move to hands-on projects, because I think learning while doing is the best approach in this sense, is what I believe. So hands-on projects, even simple ones, so they can understand how models actually behave in real situations. And I'll say
Mm-hmm.
after that, the focus should shift to building small end-to-end systems, very small end-to-end
Mm-hmm.
systems, like maybe a chat app
Correct.
which has a database retrieval and everything that will actually help them practice it on a micro level, is what I think. And after that,
Mm-hmm.
the focus should shift to building small end-to-end systems using Fast API.
Mm-hmm.
Fast API is a popular backend model used for exposing API endpoints for the AI-based models. I also practice on
Right.
Fast API, and simple
Mm-hmm.
retrieval layer they can use, because that's where learning happens. So in short, I'll say learn fundamentals, build projects, integrate into system. This path makes you far
Mm-hmm.
more capable than just knowing how to train models, because it goes
Right.
step by step. You can learn
Correct.
Python, then you can go to models, PyChart, PyTorch, TensorFlow, and everything you will get to know just by
Mm-hmm.
building projects, is what I believe. That should be the a trajectory, a proper trajectory.
Absolutely, absolutely. Couple of years back, we have started hearing that full stack developer is in demand, right? Now people has defined in their own way that what full stack developer profile is. Now very soon, if and this was the next point I have mentioned, that we are going to have a conversation around the DevOps activity.
Mhm.
So AI plus DevOps activity is going to be the next buzz, because once you are planning to have an end-to-end solution, this is what you have mentioned, then you should also understand that how this is going to deploy and how this is going to work on the environment, right? So even picking one open source model, Olama, now you have done everything on your local
Mhm.
machine. But
Mhm.
how this is going to behave on the infra, that is more important, right? You need to think
That's
through, like once a user will start interacting with the model, so what will be the behavior, whether it's related to the latency or the stability, everything comes along, right?
That's actually right. DevOps has
Yeah.
become very important, and I think
Yep.
it's becoming very important, because once you have deployed and done everything, you should know how to maintain it, how the containers will interact with each other, how the
Hmm.
production will actually will be carried forward. CI/CD pipelines should be very healthy and in good working condition. They should not break.
Right.
Kubernetes, K8s, and how pods interact. That's actually very important. DevOps.
Hmm.
I was myself, after doing my hands-on on Python and AI, I was actually delving deeper into the DevOps world. Like I'm just starting it.
Okay. Okay. Great. I think there you are already doing very good. So I think we are moving towards a couple of more points. So we all do mistakes, right? The moment we'll do something, whether it's a development or any small work, there are huge chances to do the mistake. One mistake student are making today, if you can
Mm.
highlight something, if you are aware of any.
Uh, in
I
terms
think
of
one
the
you have already talked about, like selection of the stream, that okay, I want to go for the IML development, but they don't understand how to do it, right? What are the area they should cover?
uh,
But
well,
apart
well,
from this, mhm,
Well, I'd like to say that the one of the major mistake that students make, even I also made it in my first year of college. Now that I'm entering
mhm,
into my final year,
mhm,
I'd say that I've also seen this around my friends and everywhere. First thing is tutorial hell. Tutorial hell is the
mm,
worst mistake that people make. They just keep watching it, watching it, watching it, and then making their development projects by watching those videos, not actually understanding how things work behind the hood, is what I believe is the
right,
biggest mistake, because you never get to apply your own brain into designing system. I think once you have watched the tutorial, it's your responsibility to actually start building something by yourself. Find your own
Exactly.
projects, find your own
Hmm.
problems that's bothering you. The projects that I currently have in my resume or everywhere, those are actually unique because that is something that I found something that I need. So first of all, identify your own problems that you're facing and then try building on it, because there is a very high chance that a lot of people might be facing the same problem. So for example, a friend of mine, when I was in second year, he was learning full stack development, and another friend of mine was also
Hmm.
learning full stack development, and then another friend of mine was also learning full stack development. So there are three people, they are learning full stack development. Coincidentally, they were learning from the
Hmm.
same course they were learning.
Hmm.
All three of them ended up making e-commerce project. All three had the same project, all three of them posted it on LinkedIn, all three of them had exact same project section. So I thought
Hmm.
that what's making you different? If you are making same project, like if you're even studying
Right.
from the same course, then how are you going to do things that actually make a difference? You don't have to
Hmm.
make e-commerce project. There are a lot of them present on GitHub. You can just go git clone it on your local device. You can start running that. That's not how
Hmm.
changes are made. If you are learning from that course, then develop something that actually contributes to society. Maybe develop a proper, a nice, robust LMS system for your own college. Maybe the current one is not
Hmm.
working well. Build it, build
Hmm.
solutions. I think the entire
Correct.
point of software engineering is building solutions rather than following
Hmm.
tutorials. So I think once you have studied, try making something yourself rather than just mindlessly following the tutorials and just copying the code, pasting the code. That's not going to land you anywhere. That's the biggest
Yeah.
mistake
It's
and the
just a
biggest difference maker, I believe.
absolutely. Yeah, it's just a wastage of time because
It
the
is.
moment you will get the real problem, you are going to stuck there. So
Exactly.
it's very important. Yeah, that's true. Now, since we have already talked about all this, now the last thing which, if you want to give a message to the viewers, what skills will make someone stand out globally in future? If you can predict, or maybe
Uh,
on the basis of your current experience, if you can think anything.
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. I'd say in the current terms of uprising, in the current world of uprising AI, especially Claude and
Hmm.
Anthropic constantly releasing new and more powerful models, I'll say knowing one skill or knowing one technical stack is not actually going to land you anywhere. You should know a
Hmm.
prop, you should know a very good amalgamation of a good tech stack. So
Hmm.
I'll say what I believe is currently working is AI engineering, and AI and ML
Hmm.
engineering both comes under the same
Hmm.
hood. AI ML
Hmm.
engineering, DevOps, and cloud. These three things
Hmm.
I think are the ones that are majorly in demand. Plus, they do require good skill, good hard work, and that is something
Hmm.
that will always stay because cloud engineering and
Hmm.
AWS, GCP, and all these things, Microsoft Azure experts, these things are something that are actually in practice. People need more, companies are asking more about it, I think, and
Right.
and that's not
Right.
going anywhere. Even if AI rises too much, cloud is something that needs to be maintained by engineers. DevOps is something that needs to be maintained by engineers, pipeline, CI/CD, and AI ML engineering is of course, because if you're building AI, you know how to build AI more. So I think
Correct.
AI ML,
Correct.
DevOps, and cloud, these three things you should actually know, and one thing should be very, you should be very strong in one of them, and rest two you can be on a intermediate level. But these three are the best amalgamation of tech stacks in current scenario, I'll say, in 2026. You should know all these three things. One thing is not going to help. Front end, not at all. Full stack, no. Only backend, no.
Hmm.
You should have a good
Yep.
combination. Backend,
Is
AI,
yeah.
DevOps, cloud is you can go for,
Hmm.
is what I am currently doing,
Correct.
I'll say.
Correct. Yeah. At the end, I think what we are going to summarize in terms of AI is AI alone cannot be intelligent enough, right? Your in AI engineering may turn into the intelligence, right?
That's
So,
actually right.
yeah, so engineering is very much important, and we have already, and you have correctly, highlighted that what engineering means. And I think all the students who are going to watch this episode, definitely they will understand that what's important for them. So thank you very much, Dev, for your time, and very good luck for your future projects and the career. So bye bye and keep in touch.
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you,
I'd
Dev.
like to I'd like to thank you
Yeah,
also for the opportunity of bringing me here, and I'm more than pleased to, I'm highly obliged to be a part of your YouTube channel and to be featured here. Thank you so much, Ashok sir.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dev.